going to speak to you about powerlifting, specifically about being elite. And hang around afterwards. If you have any questions, if you need help with anything, we'll go over there, look at the deadlift bar, squat rack, whatever you need to bench. And we've got some snacks. So hang around after the seminar.
I don't think we have any more snacks. I think Josh ate them all.
Josh ate all the snacks. He's wanting to be an elite 308 and up, so he eats the snacks. Okay, I'm gonna spend about 4 minutes each on 5 points and give Jeff time to speak to us. Okay, elite motives. Most of you want to be elite or you wouldn't be here. You need to establish in your mind why you want to be elite. And I've noticed since 1981 watching elite powerlifters, if they don't have a real solid motive for why they want to be elite, they usually don't stick with it. Sometimes they hit elite and you never hear from them again. But the ones that stick with it and continue to set goals and accomplish goals and set records and break records, they had a solid motive for why they want to be an elite lifter. Personally, for myself, I got 7 children, got 9 grandchildren, and I have been trying to prove to them that if you have a systematic plan and you stick with it and you're consistent, that hard work pays off. So I've been trying to prove that to them. You educate by example. If you apply yourself like you're supposed to over the long haul, you can reach your goals, whether it's powerlifting or whatever it is. And I'd say that was my primary motive. And then I have some influence with a lot of young people. I'm trying to prove to them the very same thing. So just stop and think, really, why do you want to be elite? And if it's a solid motive, you're usually going to stick with it. And then I think about elite methods. There has to be a scientific, systematic, methodical approach to lifting weights. You can't be what I call a schizophrenic powerlifter. Trey will come in here, he's 10 years old. One day he wants to be a fireman. The next day he wants to be a policeman. The next day he wants to be the Hulk. That's okay if you're 10 years old. But if you come in here on Monday and you're going to do the Texas Power Method, and you come back on Wednesday and you're going to do Brandon Lilly's Cube Method, and then you come back on Friday and you're going to do West Side Conjugate Training, that's schizophrenic. A lot of those workout methods will work, but you've got to stick with it. Be patient with that workout. Stick with it 5-6 weeks. Reflect back and see how much you progress from it. And you can't just switch it up every day you come in the gym. So you've got to have elite methods. Okay? An elite mind. You've got to be mentally sharp. You've got to be mentally tough. You've got to be mentally disciplined. You have to use your brain. You got to strain your body, you got to strain your brain. Jeff and I had a lot of conversations about this, and I want to comment on it briefly. You look at the Olympic athletes. Today, some of those races are won by 1/1000th of a second. That's common in your swim races and in your sprints. When they throw the shot put and the discus, sometimes those events are won by 1/16 of an inch. An elite mind. When I deadlift, I wear deadlift shoes to get my foot just as close to the floor as I can get it. I don't wear socks because that gets my foot maybe 1/16 of an inch closer to the floor. said, well, that don't really matter. It does. If you'll do 100 little things right, it adds up and it matters. Those Olympic athletes that are conscientious about their performance, they're not going to wear jewelry when they sprint. They're not going to have dreadlocks down their back. That stuff weighs, and when gold medals can be won by 1/1000th of a second, you have to take those little things seriously. When you squat, you need a solid heel in the shoe. You need good arch support. Some people spend $200 on squat shoes. Sometimes they spend more. I wear work boots. They're less expensive. But I don't wear socks because your toes, if they can move around, they will help you maintain balance during that squat. We mention this to people and they say, they don't really matter a great deal. 100 little things matter a great deal. I was working with Gabriel back there in the squat rack. He was doing some rack pulls. And he could do rack pulls with 500 pounds for reps, no problem. And we put a 1/4 inch thick piece of plywood on the platform and he couldn't budge it. So the slightest little modification can make a huge difference in your training and in your performance. Okay, Arthur Jones invented the Nautilus equipment. He built the Nautilus equipment based on the fact that these bullfighters, the night before a bullfight, they cut 1/4 inch of the bull's horns off. So it'll miss the bullfighter. And whether the bull misses you by 1/4 inch or a foot, he missed you. It makes it more exciting for the audience, to see the big bull with the big horns. But what they don't know is his horns were trimmed 1/4 inch the night before, and he misses when he tries to kill a bullfighter. So the slightest little modification matters. So study yourself, film yourself, and take this stuff serious. Okay, elite meals. Being a powerlifter is not a license to eat like a pig. Okay? And you see it in the gym. It's a mindset. People, well, I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't want to look good. And so you look horrible. And I have seen guys do this. I've seen guys weigh 350 pounds and deadlift, say, 700 and lose 50 pounds. They were picking it up anyway because it was right here. Lose that 50 pounds and put it on the bar. They were picking it up anyway and get credit for 50 more pounds than what they were deadlifting. Sugar is probably the worst thing you can put in your body. Fred Hatfield, famous powerlifter, famous powerlifting coach, squatted 1,003 pounds in 1984 with PhD. I learned this from him. Sugar prevents hydration. When you take creatine, and most of you do, and most of you should, it puts more water in the individual muscle cells. Sugar prevents that. Well, the more water you can get in the individual cells, it produces what they call interstitial leverage. Those cells are so full of water, they can pry against each other and make you a stronger athlete. And if you put sugar in your body, like 30 minutes before a lift, and I've seen it. I've seen them eat honey buns and wash it down with pre-workout. You see a lot of sugar being taken in at powerlifting competitions. Guys do it in the gym. They'll eat something sweet on the way to the gym. They say it makes them more vascular. Well, it does, but being more vascular doesn't make you a better powerlifter. That's another world, bodybuilding. Sugar can affect your strength 15%. I have Fred Hatfield's book laying right here. He squatted 1,003 pounds in 1984 on steroids. In 1985, he went off steroids and squatted 1,008 with no sugar in his diet. Sugar will make you weak, and if you're going to be an elite powerlifter, you've got to eat elite meals. You've got to be conscientious about what you put in your body. And then lastly is elite manners. Please make up your mind to be an elite person, not just an elite lifter. Okay? I asked Keith, who owns the Iron Boy Powerlifting Federation, I said, is it probably true that when you're running a powerlifting competition, you see certain guys coming and you say, oh God, they're here? He said, yeah, that's true. And I said, well, what I'm trying to do at Flex Gym is this. I hope that when we show up as a group, that you and Ginger and Timothy and Rob and the rest of the gang don't say, oh God, there's that Flex Gym crowd. I don't want them to dread seeing us coming, because they do that for some powerlifters. They come in late, you know, they're too demanding, they get bad attitudes, and if you smart off at a judge, it's going to be really easy for him to give you a red light again. But if you're polite, courteous, kind, respectful, it goes a long way. So try to be an elite person. Don't be a bum. Buy your own belt. Buy your own protein. You wouldn't believe the guys. Borrow. Patrick Couch comes here, and he's a professional fisherman and really good at it. And I asked him the other day, when you go to these fishing tournaments, do you borrow a boat? Do you borrow a fishing tackle? No, the guys that are good at it have got their own stuff. Anybody who is really good at golf has got his own clubs. They don't borrow golf clubs to go play golf. They've got their own. Okay? You travel with somebody to a meet, help them pay for gas. Your workout partner's been a real help to you in training, pay his entry fee. Elite matters. Well, my time's up. I thank you for listening, and we want to allow Jeff. I appreciate him coming. What I guess more than his world records, I respect Jeff because when he comes in the door, he's looking for somebody to help. While he's here, even when he's training, he's willing to interrupt what he's doing to go help somebody, and on his way out, he's looking for somebody to help. Jeff, thank you for being with us. Looking forward to your speaking to us.
I can't live up to that. I might as well just go sit down. Happy New Year. I hope that everybody had a very nice holiday season and are looking forward to a healthy, happy, prosperous New Year filled with peace. I'm a little disappointed in the people that are here today because many of you are not the people that need to be here today. We have some things to say, and Frank and I often talk about similar things in different words with a different attitude. And some of this doesn't necessarily apply to you guys, because you guys really are elite people who do what you're supposed to do and train like you're supposed to.
That's right.
I did want to say that there are those that come into the gym on a day like today and say, new year, new me. Well, I want to assure you that for the new year, I'm going to be the same sarcastic SOB I was last year. So don't don't even worry about new year and new me. That don't happen. And I don't know the reason that we don't have a bigger crowd and a crowd of people that I would have liked to have been here. Maybe they partied last night. When I was young, I used to sneak out and go to parties too. Now that I'm a lot older, I go to parties and sneak out to go home. What are you doing in 2019? What do you mean? What are you doing? How many meets you gonna be in? When are they? What are the dates? How are you gonna train for them? What plans do you have to get ready for them? Frank talks about being elite, and it may be I should have talked first because I want to talk about planning. Because if you don't plan, you're not going to be elite. Have you got New Year's resolutions? I made New Year's resolutions every year for 60 years to lose weight. And sometimes I lost weight, sometimes I lost a lot of weight. But rarely were any of them as a result of a New Year's resolution. If you resolve to do something, do it. Do it right then. Not, well, in 2 weeks I'm going to have a New Year's resolution to do so-and-so. Well, if you're going to do so-and-so, do it now. Right now. New Year's resolutions come and go, and they're easy to let go. So do like Nike says, just do it. When you resolve to get ready to do something, just do it. Now, what are you doing this year? How many meets are you going to do? What's your training going to be like? How are you going to prepare? Does everybody have that plan for this year? I know I'm doing 3 meets for certain, maybe a 4th. And the first page of my training book for 2019 says, lose weight, get freaking stronger, and do better than you've done before. I still do that, lose weight, every first of the year, although it, whatever. And thereafter, I have my training until my first meet in March. Okay? So I planned at least for that. And then I have another in May, and what I do between March and May, I hadn't decided yet. It depends in a large part on how my old body feels after the meet in March. Now, a lot of you are getting ready for a meet on February 2nd right here. And those of you that train with Frank don't have to worry about what program you're using. But those of you that don't, what program are you using? Like Frank says, most all of the standard programs work, but they only work if you consistently and regularly and almost religiously follow them. Being a program gypsy or coming in to do whatever Donnie Thompson talked about on YouTube yesterday, or whatever what's his name in California talked on YouTube yesterday, is not a program. Have your program and do it. I don't care what it is. Let it be whatever you want it to be. And if you're working with Frank, you're doing a conjugate type program that people refer to as West Side. It's not West Side because you're not at West Side. It's a conjugate program. And it's one that Frank and I have used based on Nate Harvey's book, which is a bit of a simplification from Louis Simmons's book of methods. So you don't have to worry about your program, but you do have to worry about your attempts. You do have to worry about being smart and making good decisions in the meet that you got coming up. And those decisions should be forming in your brain now. Now. You've got a month you're not gonna get phenomenally stronger. You have a pretty good idea of where you are in terms of strength. And if you do your lifts with proper form and proper technique, in the best way that you can, you have a pretty good idea of what your numbers ought to be. So you ought to be formulating, not etched in stone, but at least formulating what you're gonna do on February 2nd. You don't have to worry about your program because Frank programs for you. But you ought to know what that program is. You ought to know that it has a name. You ought to know how it works. You ought to be involved and intelligent enough to have asked questions to figure out or to learn what it is. So you've got to have, in order to become elite, if that's your goal, a plan to get there. And that's what I'm talking about. I don't like these cliches that say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All these cutesy little things. Do what you're supposed to do. That's all I'm saying. Do what you're supposed to do. Now, based on what Frank said about being a good person, being an elite person, let me tell you about 3 conversations that I've had in the gym fairly recently. And some of them may have been with some of you, so don't be too offended if they were. Guy misses a lift, that's what's up. The bar was in the wrong place. What? The bar was in the wrong place. Well, how the hell did the bar get in the wrong place? The bar don't have a mind of its own. The bar don't go where it just wants to go. The bar goes where you put it. Now do it again and put the bar in the right place. Well, my feet weren't right. What happened? I didn't put your feet there. Your feet don't have a mind of their own. They didn't just go somewhere to mess you up. You put them there. Now do it again and put your feet in the right place. Take responsibility for what you do. When I was being coached in the 50s, the last thing a coach ever thought about was my feelings. So don't be so touchy and get your feelings hurt. Take responsibility for what you do and do it right. Do it again and do it right. The bar didn't get in the wrong place. Your feet didn't get in the wrong place. You put them there. You take that responsibility and you correct it. I said to somebody once, well, you didn't sit back on that deadlift, on that squat. Well, I didn't have a belt on. What the hell does a belt got to do with doing it right? Nothing. Do what you're supposed to do. Take responsibility for what you do. And don't worry about your feelings. Now, there are times, and this is a little bit about what Frank said, there are times in the gym that I feel like a white dog in a gym full of Dalmatians, and I need a spot. And there's always somebody to give you a spot. I've never had anybody say no, ever. And they have taken time from their training to help you in your training. So you need to pay that forward and be available to spot that person or somebody else when you see the need or are asked to provide somebody with a spot. It's just common gym etiquette. And the thing I like so much about this gym is that we work pretty much as family. And not a lot of gyms can say that, particularly commercial gyms. They're not family. They're just a group of strangers who work out and happen to be in the same place at the same time. This gym is, in my opinion, family, and everybody helps everybody else. And as you go through your process, you need to be one of those that not only receives the help, but gives the help, okay? Now, as I said last time I talked, I'm a coachaholic, and too often I offer unsolicited advice, and I'm trying to get that under control. But increasingly, I get asked for advice, and I get asked to critique a lift, or a question about technique or how to do something. And it tickles me to death, and I'm more than happy to do it. It's one of the greatest pleasures that I have. And I don't mind interrupting my training to do that. But when you ask for my advice or my critique, understand that that's my opinion based on the years that I've done this and the little bit of knowledge that I've obtained through those years. And you can do three things with that advice. You can accept it, reject it, or ignore it. And it won't hurt my feelings, whatever the three of those things you do. But what you cannot do is argue. It's my opinion. It can't be right or wrong, it's a damn opinion. You don't need to argue. It's not likely to change. And I don't care if I change your mind, and I know you're not going to change mine. So don't argue. Ignore it. Accept it or reject it. That's the most frustrating thing I have from time to time in the gym is a 15-year-old that argues with me about advice I give. Excuse me. Now, with all that in mind, with what Frank said, and with what little bit I've said, now get your old butts ready for February the 2nd.
Thank you, Jeff. This actually happened a few days ago. There's a 15-year-old boy come up here and asked me about his squat. And he told me what he was doing. And I offered him some advice. And he started arguing with me. And Jeff was standing not too far away. And I said, how old is your father? And he told me. And I said, I started lifting weights before your father was born. And then Jeff's about to have a seizure and said, I started lifting weights before he was born, talking about me. But because you've watched 4 YouTube videos does not make you an expert, okay? And anytime anybody asks me or Jeff for advice, we speak to that person if they're our son or daughter. There's no reason in the world why I would ask you to do something wrong, or that doesn't make sense. It's just impossible for us to do that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming. It says a lot about who you are and what you want to be. And I've got 16 containers of blueberry Greek yogurt that we need to eat. Amanda cooked us a tremendous egg and cheese croissant. They're elite egg and cheese croissants.
Josh.
I think there might be a little bit of that left, but and if you have questions about anything that's going on in your powerlifting or some nutrition advice or whatever, meat preparation, we're still here and we want to help. Thank you.
Woo!